Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to shift your gears here a little bit. I'd like to ask a few questions in the spirit of Women's History Month.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Can you talk briefly about your background, Dr. Daniel? You've had a stellar career in and out of academia and a beautiful family. Our viewers, I'm sure, would be interested in knowing a little bit more about you.
Well, thank you. Yes. So I actually ended up getting one of my graduate degrees is in women's and gender studies. And so this is something that falls very close to my heart. And quite frankly, something that I didn't even know I was missing until my early 20s. I majored in English literature for undergrad. And so right, wrong, or indifferent, I effectively read the canon of dead white men with with a little Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf thrown in there to boot. And when I got to graduate school where I was continuing to study English Lit, I ended up taking a class called Women's Personal Narratives. And I had no idea. I mean, I knew obviously we were going to read women's personal narratives. Sounded great. Everything that I read in that program, in that course, was actually written by a woman of color. And I'll tell you, I kind of came out of it feeling angry, not at what I had read, but at the fact that this had been kept from me. That I had a degree in English literature and that a whole section of English literature had been kept from me. That's how I felt. And I don't know that it was deliberate so much as it was just the way that it was, right? And that probably needs to be reimagined as well. Having said that, I went ahead and changed my major in graduate school and started studying both Pan-African studies as well as women's and gender studies. So I ended up getting master's degrees in that, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And there was something about working then later that worked to where I was working with an NSF grant at the University of Wyoming, working to recruit and retain first-generation minority females, specifically female students, into the STEM fields. And I loved doing that and getting to work with young students to help them come up with deliberate plans for education, regardless of where they wanted to go. And it was such a powerful thing because the cool thing about working in education, specifically at this level, is that you can do anything and you can consider anything. And I think that ultimately led me to getting my doctorate in education. And then, long story short, when the time came for us to have a family, I wanted to come back home. So South Piedmont is extra special to my heart because this is my county. This is where I grew up. This is home. And so I know the people that donated some of the land for some of the buildings, and I run into people that I grew up with here that we are, helping come up with their second plans, right? And so whether it's truck driving or whether it is working in HVAC or whether it's studying accounting or if they're going back to school for plumbing or they want to get a 4-year degree and so they're taking their classes here, like these are my neighbors. These are the people that are, my kids are going to school with their kids. And so it's fun because I get to work with some people that I grew up with. We see new people coming into our area because I live in the county that's experiencing the 18th% growth as opposed to the 9% that's the state average. And it's just astounding to see the changes that are coming, and yet it's home. And so that really touches me. And especially the ability then for my kiddos to get to see mommy doing fun things and and to get to hear about mommy doing stuff at work that she loves doing, and having then also the support for the days where, quite frankly, I just need to be mom. And so I definitely feel blessed to be able to balance those things and to have the support of the institution to do that.
That's great. There's no place like home, and I can tell you, I can feel your passion from all the way from Chicago, where I am right now. Speaking of Women's History Month, what does this mean to you? Give it to me in one sentence.
It means that we count too. It means that history is now all of our history. And I know you said one sentence, but I just think that every time we have Women's History Month, we have Black History Month, we have all of the history months, right? That we are, every single time there's another poster about another influential human that shows up, it means that history's getting that much better. and that much more inclusive. And it means that there will be another student that when they graduate, they don't feel like there was a void because part of that history, part of that story wasn't there. It means that we're going toward human history. And I think that's really, I mean, think about it, right? So we both have young ones, right? What if their kids don't have all of these different history months? What if they just have history? What if we genuinely get to the point, because we're not there yet, right? The history books aren't there to where we've got human history, right? It's still Eurocentrized. It's still very much male-based, right? What if we get to the point where our grandkids just have human history without the bias, without the sexism, without the racism, without all of the isms, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? And you and I could be like, well, back when we were learning, like it was a whole different situation. It would be incredible. And I think that's the goal, right?
That's very inspiring. Yeah.
Amazing. And we got to just keep working on it.
We do. Yes, we do. So my last question, I suppose, I'm going to tie it back to Learning Reimagined and SBCC and you. So in January of 2023, a writer, Joshua Bay, he writes for the 74million.org. He wrote a piece about the alarming decline of female college enrollments. He cited a report from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, which showed that female college enrollments were going down 2.5 times than male college enrollments. Really alarming numbers, meaning there are far fewer female students enrolling in college than male students. He then also quoted Catherine Brown, who's the Senior Director of Policy and Advocacy for the National College Attainment Network, who said that the pandemic disproportionately harmed women, particularly women of color and low-income women. How relatable are these statistics and statements to you and to SBCC? And what are you doing to arrest the decline of female college enrollments?
Absolutely. So I think a couple of things. I think that part of my response is going to have to be that it's coming from me, right? And so not necessarily, I don't think at this point I could speak on behalf of the college for this entire response. But having said that, reading the article, so these numbers are showing up, right? And that we do know that whether you're watching the news in the evening, reading what's coming out in the Chronicle, et cetera, we know that the pandemic took a bigger hit on women in the workplace and in women in education with regards to stopping out, dropping out, going back home. And the question then becomes, why? Right? Why was it that women were disproportionately impacted as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic with whatever their goals were, whatever they were doing outside the home? What was it that then it was easier, right? Or by millions of families viewed as a reasonable solution for the woman to be the one to step back? Is that a cultural decision based on wage gaps, right? Where it made more fiscal decision? Is it biological based on women saying, well, like maybe now is the time to start a family? Because we know that historically that has negatively impacted women, especially here in the United States, right? You think about like some of the conversations that are happening right now where we're still debating whether or not paid, right, family leave should be a thing, right? So that women can have kids and not decide between continuing the planet with humans or working, right? So we've got, and again, please note, again, this is me speaking, not speaking on behalf of the institution. I think that we don't know yet what the causes for those decisions were. And I don't know that the cause matters so much as the solution, right? And so ensuring that we are providing people, specifically women, specifically minority students, specifically, quite frankly, our students across the board, right? So we have seen our technically our most at-risk students are Black males. That has historically been our most at-risk student demographic here at college. And so when we look at ways that we can increase and positively impact any of our students, right, statistically looking at how can we help parents, how can we help women, how can we help minority students? How can we help our low income students? How can we help any of these students? Those top 4 barriers still generally apply. And so the answer becomes remove any barrier that we can to help these students. So if it's cost, we help figure out cost. If it's transportation, we help figure out how to get them here or make it to where they can take them the classes from home. If it is the ability to get their resources to make sure that they have what they need to get in class, we figure it out, right? So if it's a laptop kiosk here at the college so that they can come up, wave their student ID and have access to a computer, that's what we need to do. If it's the ability then to get their textbooks in a timely manner so that they can keep up with their classes, that's what we need to do. If it's a matter then of making sure that the videos are there so that they can go back and listen and re-listen and watch the lesson one more time, that's what we need to do. If we need to help with childcare, then we need to start figuring that out. If we need to be able to help with, the bottom line is that we've got students that need help. We don't know what they need, right? We don't know exactly where they're going to come from. We don't know exactly what barriers they're coming up against, and we don't have to know that. What we have to know are these main barriers, right, that everybody's experiencing for the sake of argument, the top 4 barriers, and there's more, right? We're just addressing the top 4 at this point. We figure out how to overcome those, and we're helping all of our students, right? Everybody could use more flexibility. Everybody could use
I love that
grace.
in life and at work.
Right? If there's anything that we've learned going through the pandemic, hopefully coming out on the other side, and the silver lining is that we can be more gracious with each other. And so if we it's putting the students at the center of all that we're doing. And people say that, right? Everything that you read, my goodness, if you and I went even into the archives of BibliU, right? And we went to go do an inspection and find stuff on student-centered learning. It's everywhere. Everybody wants to be student-centered. You have to make that a verb. We're real big on action words, right? And you hear all the action words, but you got to do something. We don't need nouns anymore. Learning Reimagined, we did it. This wasn't theoretical. It was applied. And what we need to make all of this applied. We have to take everything that we've learned. We have to take all our understanding about these barriers, and we have to apply solutions so that our students can do what they need to do, so the workforce has what they need, so our communities have what we need. Right? This doesn't just impact, it actually has nothing to do ultimately with a single course. It has to do with then the mama that can go home and show her kids that she's done it and they can do it, right? Who then goes to work and helps the community through being a healthcare worker, or helps the community through helping build door locks. Next door, we've got a plant next door that helps build door locks, right, that are of doors across the world. We've got pharmaceuticals that are getting made. We've got people who are teaching. We have society, right? This is the human, where we talked a few minutes ago about, Women's History Month and shooting eventually just for this concept of human history, right? If we can get there, right, that's the ultimate goal. Well, the ultimate goal then is for our communities to be stable as well. And so we've got to get there. And whatever that takes, whatever barriers we're breaking down, the continuity is across all of those lines. And it will help all the students.
And it will help society, period.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why they've come to us. One way or another, it's to go get their jobs, and it's to see what it is that they can accomplish. And whatever we could do to help them, that's what we're going to do. And that's Learning Reimagined. And that's what is happening at South Piedmont Community College. And I am darn proud to be a part of it.
And you should be. We are proud and we feel very honored to be partners with SPCC in this tremendous program. And you personally inspire me, Dr. Daniel. And I know that our viewers, whoever is listening to this podcast, will also be inspired by you and the initiatives you've taken at SPCC. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope we'll do this again next year.
Absolutely. Fervently my pleasure. Just absolutely my pleasure. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we're grateful for the partnership with BibliU. It's nice to have a company where the people, and that I think Dave's vision for the company, it just all ties together, right? And this idea of doing what's right for the students so that they have what they need so they can be successful, so that our communities can be more successful. And it's nice to have a good partner in this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's do what's right for students.
There you go.
All right. Thanks. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, you as well.